Californians will have a new senator in Congress in this November's election. Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff is running against Republican and former pro baseball player Steve Garvey.
Now, Congressman Schiff is joining us now to speak about the race. We thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you.
Okay, so let's begin with one of the big issues of the election and one that has a direct impact on San Diego, which is border security. What do you think is the first action that needs to be taken at the border?
Well, I think we need to surge resources to the border, make sure that we have adequate personnel there, which I don't think we have. We also need to make sure that we start processing these asylum claims much more quickly. People that are coming here as migrants are claiming persecution at home, and in some cases, they are being threatened at home. In other cases, they're economic migrants and don't qualify for asylum, but those claims aren't adjudicated for years, and that's a bad system for those seeking asylum. It's a bad system here in the United States. We need to be able to move on those cases much more quickly. Those are two, I think, of the most important reforms: more resources for the border, but also more resources to get those claims processed. If people are eligible to stay, they should stay. If they're not eligible to stay, they should get that answer in a responsible and quick period of time.
Well, another border issue is the Tijuana River sewage crisis here in the San Diego area. There are calls to have the federal government declare the crisis a national emergency. I know that you've been down here, seen it firsthand. You've done some bipartisan legislation here. What are your thoughts now on this?
I think it is an ecological disaster, the first order. I think it's also a public health disaster. I'm glad to see that CDC is coming in to survey the healthcare risks to people to make sure that people are protected. I'm also grateful that Senator Padilla is working on making sure the EPA takes greater ownership of this problem, which I completely support. This should be declared an emergency. It is an emergency. And we need to make sure that we provide the federal assistance necessary to get the sewage treatment plant fully up and running on the U.S. side of the border. And we need to make sure that we hold Mexico to getting their plant fully operational, so that we can end this blight of millions of gallons of sewage just flowing into the ocean through that river and otherwise. So this is, I think, priority number one of all the ecological disasters in the country. This is among the most urgent.
And when it comes to the economy, there is a massive housing shortage. What do you think can be done at a federal level to help renters or people looking to buy a home?
This is my top priority. I think it's the top challenge facing the state. And there's just simply not enough housing. We haven't been building housing the way we should for years. And the result is people can't afford their rent, which is going up and up. Young people can't, and even not so young people can't afford to buy a home. And the only way to solve that is to be building housing more cheaply and more quickly. The federal level, I'm championing a massive increase in the low-income housing tax credit, which would incentivize the development of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of new units of housing. I also want to incentivize local governments to get to yes on housing decisions much more quickly. In some cities, it can take 4 years to approve new housing. We're never going to solve this problem if it takes 4 years to build new housing. So those are two of the priorities that I'm working on.
Congressman, earlier this week, former President Trump called you and Representative Nancy Pelosi, quote, the enemy from within. What is your reaction to that?
That is such reckless thinking and such a reckless thing to say. But it is consistent with what the president's own chief of staff, General Kelly, had to say about his authoritarian dictatorial tendencies. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milley, said the same thing about Donald Trump, and that is, he's not committed to our democracy. He wants to turn our country into some kind of autocratic form of government. And it's in a dictatorship that you go after your political enemy, your political opponents as enemies, and you threaten to call out the military on them. That's not what we want to see in America. And it really, I think, shows the former president becoming increasingly unhinged as we get close to the election.
Congressman, finally, what do you bring to the table that your opponent, Steve Garvey, does not?
Two things. I bring a long track record of getting things done for the state of California. I wrote California's Patient Bill of Rights. I wrote the legislation to bring up-to-date textbooks to our schools. I've helped build mass transit. I brought back millions to build new housing. I've passed legislation to protect our country as chairman of the Intel Committee, as well as to protect press freedom. And I contrast that with a record in Mr. Garvey when he retired from baseball 37 years ago of not much more than signing baseballs, failed businesses, and unpaid taxes. So our records are very different, but also my willingness to stand up to a bully and Mr. Garvey's continued support for Donald Trump, which is not where most Californians are.
Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the very best in your campaign.
Thank you very much.
And our team also spoke with Adam Schiff's Republican opponent Steve Garvey earlier on this month.
To watch any of our interviews, plus access our full election guide, head to our website, fox5sandiego.com/election.